Welcome to the 2025 Matric Workshop. The 2025 Matric Workshop is the fourth iteration that I've had a chance to plan here at Zeitz MOCAA. And this year we'll be focusing on Understudies, the solo exhibition by Nolan Oswald Dennis, who's a South African artist based in Johannesburg. There's a lot of references to their other subjects like geography and history and physics and maths that I really feel this exhibition can relate to so many more of the students than maybe some of the exhibitions we've worked on in the past.
Please, if everyone can just come grab an object. The Cabinet of Curiosities was the opening activity, and we asked the learners to bring an object that is personal to them and should fit in the palm of their hand. And this was really in response to Nolan's Cabinet of Solidarities, which is really asking us to look at objects with care.
So I brought a pack of cards for the introductory game. I really love playing cards, and I feel like I've been playing a lot of cards lately.
I must admit, coming in the first, I was a bit nerve-wracking. I was definitely a bit nervous, but also excited to meet new people and make new friends.
I'd say I was quite excited, just because I knew there was going to be a few people. I didn't really know how many people or what we were really going to do, because it was kind of like a blank canvas in a way.
So we're looking at Nolan Oswald Dennis's Understudies, which is a solo exhibition. And even though he's quite a young artist, I think, he fills the museum really well as you walk through the space. And he's got a variety of works that we can share with the learners. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they respond to the diversity of the kinds of works, but also the themes that he touches on in his work.
My favorite artwork was the asteroid moving towards the Earth, and it kind of hypnotized me. I like the sound in the video.
I really liked the sound piece in Nolan's exhibition, mostly just because you could feel the vibrations going through you the whole time and it was so weird. But my favorite was definitely the constellations.
Then the activity was sort of an extension of this and asking the learners to think about their world and what do they want their world to look like. And we had some prompts that sort of guided this a little bit.
I made a very fluffy, furry pink planet, which I love and I adore. I really liked the spontaneity of that and how we were all like sort of scrambling to make it. And I feel like because we made them on the first day, it really sort of represented who we are, and it was another way of getting to know people.
Me being introduced to creating a planet that was kind of stepping out of my comfort zone. As I was busy making it, I started to enjoy it, and then I got excited to see what was the end result.
When we put them all together, you could kind of see how different we all were, and I really enjoyed that part of it.
But to do a collage on a bigger scale and then do a styrofoam sculpture in limited time was definitely completely out of my comfort zone.
If you had to describe your style of art making in 3 words, what would you say?
Wildly colourful.
I like doing close to more realism and slowly leaning towards hyperrealism.
You're going to have to find the people that you're working with based on these images.
I like working with other people and seeing what their ideas were or how it comes together.
Yeah, I guess the non-traditional mediums that we used and the fact that we did 3-dimensional, not just 2-dimensional. It was very open, very fun.
I definitely enjoyed the collaborations because it definitely put me out of my comfort zone.
We're just cutting out pieces of blue from magazines and sticking it together.
We were told to use yellow, beige and light brown.
We abandoned our original idea about 10 minutes in.
So far, the works that the students seem to be gravitating towards are Letsema, which is a collaborative work that the members of the production and exhibition management team did. They seem really taken by immediately just the clay and the colors of that work, and I think when they learnt about how it was made, it deepened their interest in it.
Nolan's exhibition was very different to the type of art that I quite enjoy and the art that I do. But I really enjoyed the Letsema work. I just think that the amount of effort put into it and the fact that it was such a team effort, I just really enjoyed that.
But I really liked the one that was sort of drawn onto the wall with the other pictures included because of, well, the detail and the aesthetic appeal, but I also like that it was built into the museum practically and that it's not going to last forever.
My favorite artwork was the constellations. So I myself am very fond of constellations. I love star signs. I like knowing the meaning behind it.
When I was planning the workshop earlier this year, I asked that group of my colleagues if they would be willing to speak to the learners about their experience and what it was like coming together and making something completely out of their comfort zone. In a lot of ways very similar to what the grade 12s do for their workshop, but on a much, much bigger scale.
We are used to the artwork coming to us and we maintain it, we take care of it, and we get it up on the walls, we get it in the gallery spaces, and then we take it down again when it's done spending time with us. We look after it while it's here, but ultimately we don't make anything. The proposal we were given was he wanted us to create a column out of soil that we collected. The biggest thing for us to figure out was that we were given first Nolan's conceptual proposal and then what we thought was a very clear set of instructions initially, which we then realized would not work in our context.
I was really excited to hear about how the Zeitz MOCAA artwork was made. I was really giddy hearing about it, and it's just because at the beginning I had a very different thought process of how it was made or how it could be made and the meaning behind it.
It's a little bit cryptic. We also added like the postal codes from the areas that we went to. So I mean, if you Google the postal code, you'll see the area that correlates to what theme. So
one thing that I want to work on in my own artistic development is I want to be more deeply thought out on my works. So I think that just seeing how much effort they put into it, I think it was quite inspiring.
Who would you want to have dinner with? But who would you want to have a conversation with?
I said Frida Kahlo.
Lovely. The main thing is to get them comfortable with the act of writing about themselves and their art. We also looked at an artist statement, how to write an artist statement, what goes into an artist statement, practicing doing it with the globes that are behind me that they made.
Michelangelo, guys, you know him? I had my school friend, Michelangelo.
The planet is, on the one side, fragmented and scored, with deep crevices shown with black.
I invited them to sit in different rooms of the exhibition and with different prompts, and they wrote and drew and created these wonderful images and texts that responded to the work. So I feel good about the energy they've put into the day-to-day and in the writing in general.
Because I really enjoyed sitting in the exhibit space while working, and I enjoy incorporating writing into my work, so it was good to have the two there and then see it all together, how different people interpreted the same space and same prompts.
And then we're going to go into the project brief and what you need to do for the exhibition.
I don't really like writing, especially creative writing.
How the curator presents things shows how important presentation is.
I think I might take the lessons I learned from working with other materials. I'm not fully sure yet.
The main thing I want to focus on, it's something I want to dabble into. I've never tried it before, so I want to get into sculpting.
I think the mixed media approach of the actual workshop is a big influence in the final artworks that we see the learners produce for the exhibition. A lot of them are very used to working in traditional mediums like acrylic painting or oil painting or watercolor or drawing. And one of the biggest things we like to show them in this space is that there's actually so much more to art. Contemporary art has no limits. Anything that you can use as an object can become a medium. And we hope that the exercises they participated in the 4 days, as well as seeing Nolan's artwork, of which none is traditional, will really inspire them to step outside their comfort zone and make something completely new. Welcome to our first crit session.
I was thinking of like making a nest, sort of, out of things I found around the hood.
If it would be in the red zone, it would have a hand pulling the body almost like to silence, and then the green area to have like a hand lifting it up.
But I think what you need to try and do is get the overall shape first, and then you can move into the details.
These are the train tracks over here, and on this side it was split up into a white area and a colored area.
I think a lot of learners kind of struggle of being thrown into the deep end of make something cool that is worthy of an exhibition. So today we got to hear them present about what they'd learned researching their areas, how they'd interpreted the idea of a map, and we also got to see their found objects.
I came up with the idea, fish out of water.
A moment that stood out to me was when Sky read her poem.
There's this house I know, with tall white walls, and memories beyond my existence, where a piece of my heart will forever remain. You see, it holds the faces of those I hold most dear, and pieces of my soul were created by those footsteps.
Yeah, there were some beautiful lines from then, really nice to see her in a different mode, and for people to connect also with her idea a bit more and how emotional it is for her.
So hi, I'm Michael. So I'm also doing 2 area codes.
Duality of artery, where there's the rubbish or the brokenness, as you said, but the happiness. And then in Newlands, the like, I don't know, greenery, cleanliness, but the sadness, but with the sadness comes more poetry.
For my project, I've been focusing on themes of migration. So my family comes from all over. So I've got a map that is beyond one location.
I think it's always great to see the learners that really resonated with the theme and the way they speak about their artwork and the research. It just shows that they threw themselves into it with no reservations.
I can relate to them. It's very scary presenting your work and speaking about your art, and it's so personal and everyone's watching. But hopefully in the next script they feel more confident about their work and also nail down exactly what they want to express.
There was a range of different levels of finishing artwork. Some learners had made a lot of progress since we last saw them, which was really great to see. Some learners were kind of still unsure of what to do next, but at least had more materials or more ideas of what to do next.
The choice of the train sign in the work links to my area code and to apartheid's effects, as the railway still divides a predominantly black area from a predominantly white area.
A lot of grappling with apartheid histories, and I think when you ask students who've grown up in South Africa to think about their areas, that's naturally going to come in.
So there's like things that I've had from like childhood. This is from like a little like top model box that I had.
And then they can balance each other out.
Having installed the education department's exhibitions a few times now, it was a bit of a relief to actually be able to talk to them before they completed their work so that I could advise on issues with presentation specifically.
After learning more about Zeitz MOCAA and how you guys exhibit things and how you choose your artists, it felt like more of a privilege to be able to be here and not only exhibit an art piece, but like have you guys work with us.
Clearly some that have spent so much time and energy and really conceptualized their projects so well, which is really exciting, and I think it's going to be a really amazing exhibition, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
So welcome to the 4th grade 12 exhibition at the Zeitz MOCAA called Area Code Against the Grain.
Tonight we had one of the most successful grade 12 exhibition openings we've ever seen. There were over 175 guests present tonight, which breaks all of our previous records. And it was really a moment to honor all of the hard work and the sacrifices and really the beautiful artwork the learners have made over the last 3 months. And the exhibition really speaks volumes. It is one of the most impactful pieces of work I've seen in the grade 12 program. So the learners really outdid themselves today.
I think a thing that challenged all of us was the fact that the brief forced us to go out of traditional mediums. And I think especially in a school place, you focus so much on stuff like maybe acrylic paints or just one particular medium. Whereas here I had the chance to try something completely different. I made my own paints and I used a completely different canvas. And that really made me think so differently and more creatively.
I honestly didn't really know how to show how I feel because, I mean, there's so many different ways and different mediums, and this whole exhibition, if anything, it's shown me that you can make anything out of anything. So to nail it down to what I wanted to create was really difficult. But I came up with something that I'm really proud of because I realized that the only thing I really want to do is make something that I like.
I quite enjoyed the brief. I think it was right up my alley, and then including a found object, like it's a non-traditional material, and I quite enjoy working with non-traditional materials. So I didn't struggle too much, so I quite enjoyed creating this piece.
So I named it Amalgamation, which is like a congregation of everything. So it's basically, I kind of took inspiration from like tree rings, like when you cut a tree stump, it's got a bunch of rings and stuff, which is like referencing to the cycles of life. So essentially this whole thing is just like different cycles of my life and different rings and layers, and everything's just interwoven into each other.
So my piece is about my area code 7006. It's reflection at 3 a.m. It represents the time I was born on a Sunday morning. And it shows like the gangsterism in my community and how my community isn't whole, but yet it's mine. So I'm proud of it.
I don't know, actually. It feels quite amazing, and I feel like I've achieved something. I'm achieving something in my life, and this is usually not my style. Like, because I usually draw, paint. So doing this, it made me realize that art is all about like experimenting, you know, like just having fun with with the others that were also in the workshop.
The main mediums I used was acrylic paint and dirt and glue and stuff like that. So because of our assignments and studying Nolan Oswald Dennis's work, I was very inspired to also try and actually use the dirt in my artwork. So I took dirt from Pinelands and I got my aunt to bring me dirt from Pretoria, and I mixed it with wood glue and put it on, and I think then I just painted over kind of the blue lines kind of represent the man-made structures of our areas, and then the rest is personal to me from where I lived in Brooklyn and Pretoria and now here at Pinelands. I guess it shows the exploration of how our environments shape our personalities and how we develop and how we respond differently to different environments. So I think it's very personal to me, but also kind of, I think if people see things they can relate to, they might also kind of get that feeling of change and mainly how your environment shapes you. Yeah.
So I worked with all natural materials that I found around my neighborhood on a walk. The only unnatural materials are this synthetic rope here with cable ties, but I all found them outside. I already love weaving, and I already wanted to try and weave with whatever I could find. And so I live in Orbs, so I walked around Leesbeek River and I found all these grasses, and yeah, I really wanted to explore weaving in different styles with different types of grass.
Well, for the title, it's called Hu Koise Haka Kuru, and that means 7945, which is my area code. And I chose to title it in Khoekhoe because it's the language my name is in. And I thought that had significance for my piece because my piece, it ties to obviously my area code 7945, and it was specifically inspired by the railway line that runs directly through my area. And with this railway line also comes a contrast. If you look at my area code, you'll see on the right side, there's a lot of underprivileged and underdeveloped communities like Grassy Park and Retreat, Heathfield, where on the other side of the railway line, there's a lot of places like Constantia, Constantia, Kirstenhof, and a lot of well-off places. So I wanted my work to speak to the railway line, which is really the most highlighted feature in my area code.
I must admit, it was a bit daunting. I was left a bit open-ended, like I didn't know what to do for quite a while, until I brought in my objects and the facilitator saw broken glass as one of my objects. And they challenged me with the idea of making an artwork with the glass or drawing on the glass. But I decided rather make an artwork with the glass, and I was thinking, what could I do? And then I eventually came to the conclusion idea of making an eye out of glass, because an eye is the heart window to the soul. So why not have something that's questioning the models of the soul be an the image itself?
So my artwork is called Dear Ma. It basically describes my relationship with my grandmother, and she passed away like a few years back. So it just symbolizes like the memories that I had and I still have of her today.
This is my first time actually making a sculpture, which is something new to me. And after I experienced like making small parts of the body, I started to develop a love for sculpturing. It was, I don't know how to describe it, but when I was busy making the body parts, my creativity just took over.
The name of my artwork is Fish Out of Water. What inspired the artwork is the history of my area, Grassy Park 7941. At first, I was kind of lost. I lived next to the Zikoflei, and I didn't know how to incorporate the area that's closest to me. So I was thinking about the deeper history of Grassy Park, which was a place where mostly colored people were placed in after the group areas act was passed between the 1940s and 1980s.
I think it was a little bit more challenging than most in, say, for instance, for school, because the workshop really forces you and tries to mold you into a more contemporary way of thinking about your art, more than just a straightforward piece. That's why there's a lot of sculptures and stuff here at this exhibition, because they really didn't want you to do just a flat-out drawing. And if you did, you had to do something interesting about it. But I think it does help us prepare for our future, especially those who are going into art as a field, because it helps us translate our ideas easier into like a contemporary art field.
So my art piece is called Concealed. The place of where this came from was of District 6 and what has been left, because the spirit of depression and everything, because I believe it came from that and everything. So for me personally, the outcome with blades, self-harm, murder and everything is just something that's more concealed, especially when it comes to self-harm or anything that we do to ourselves is concealed.
This is very different from what my original idea was, and definitely not to my strengths, but it was wonderful exploring the different things that we can do. And going in a more contemporary direction, which is sort of what the museum is more about. And it was strange working with those non-traditional mediums and trying things that we don't usually do. But I think it really made us come together and not sort of compare our art as much, doing stuff that we don't usually do. Which I think made everyone a lot more comfortable with each other.
My artwork is called Roots, and basically I went for walks around my neighborhood to try and find found objects, but I felt really disconnected from my area in general, because when I did research it turned out to be a lot bigger than I thought it was. And so I struggled a little bit to find objects in my area, and so then I turned into my house and my garden, because that is really what connects me to my area. And I found these little root things. They connect a vine to a wall, and I thought it was really cool how the roots connect the vine to the wall, just as my house connects me to my area. So I knew I had to use them in some way. And Yeah, I actually was sitting outside in the dark because I was just looking at these and seeing what they did, and then I had to turn my torch on and stumbled across the really cool shadows that these created completely by accident, but yeah, I just went with it.
So having looked at the show, it's been a real pleasure to see that there's a shift towards making work that is three-dimensional and more sculptural. It's been really encouraging also to see that students have really explored alternative materials. And of course, it links really closely to Nolan's approach of actually working with the soil and the materials of space and place and what those things mean and how they come to be interpreted.
I think as a group of facilitators, I think Mona, Rianka and myself were all incredibly impressed by the caliber of work produced by the learners. They really rose to the challenge of producing something non-traditional. I don't think there's a single work in the exhibition that could be considered traditional. So it's great to see that they embrace the difficulty and the challenge of working with found materials and to create really powerful statements that are also very accessible to a general audience.
I was really excited because before now I had always wanted to come to Zeitz and see the museum and see how people run this place. And this opportunity didn't only give me the tools to see everything here, but to meet so many different people who work in the museum and run it every single day.
I mean, walking around was just such a beautiful experience to like feel a part of something so big, and being able to see like a part of you exhibited in a space so beautiful has really been such an overwhelming and really just lovely experience.
It feels absolutely wonderful to know that my artwork is in Zeitz MOCAA. It's such an amazing feeling. I'm over the moon.
I feel honored that it's here in Zeitz because this is my first time, so I'm speechless actually, so I don't know what to say, but I'm proud of myself.
I will always remember this, I think, and I was very excited when I first found out of it because I told everyone I know.
I think what it's definitely done, this whole experience, it's definitely opened my eyes a bit more to what goes on inside the art world.
I hope it has an impact on my future plans. I'm wanting to go into the design field, so I'm hoping maybe someone will see it and eventually recognize my name later on.
So, I feel a lot of emotions right now because this is the first time I actually get to have my own exhibition.
So when I first walked in here, I was nervous, I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. But then when I saw my artwork in the corner, and I was like, wow, I made that. That looks amazing.
One of my dreams was to exhibit a piece or be commissioned by Zeitz, and I've done that. And it's crazy, it doesn't feel real almost.
Seeing it now, I'm really proud. I'm really proud. I think it's such an amazing experience and such a cool thing to have taken part in, so I'm happy.
For me, it's really becoming one of those legacy programs where it becomes one of the cornerstones of what we do in the Centre for Art Education. It's something that we're really seeing a lot of traction around. Schools are getting to know what the program is about. They want their learners to aspire to it, to be part of it, to exhibit in the museum, to do the learning and the different kinds of learning that we're offering outside of the classroom. So for me, that's really amazing to see, and that we've done it 4 years in a row. We've reflected on our process and we've grown, and that we've built a really important alumni from this program. I think that's also something that we've got to take as a success for the project.